Over 150 updates to Shopify.
Tiny optimization.
So in this video, I'm going to show you guys how to automate the entire process of creating faceless YouTube videos by introducing AI agents in your workflow. So first, I'll show you the reference channel we're modeling and why it's even worth your time to do this. Then we'll build out an actual AI agent from scratch in order to generate scripts, images, and voiceovers all within a few clicks. We'll then take everything in CapCut and turn it into a finished project. Lastly, I will show you a way to generate thumbnails with AI and provide you with multiple prompts for these thumbnails, as well as the copy of the AI agent that I'm going to be building in this very video, so you can have the opportunity to just plug it in anywhere and use it on your own. Today's video is truly special, and you do want to watch it all the way through because the technology and the techniques I'll be showing you in this video are literally taking the world by storm. So it is literally in your interest to have these skills to get the real advantage in this digital era. Now, before we get into the actual video, let me just show you a 5-second snippet of what we're going to create.
The streetlights flickered in the distance, casting long, skeletal shadows across the street. Sarah sat on her porch.
Alright, so now you've seen the demo clip. Let's immediately get into step number 1, and I'll begin by actually showing you the channel we're going to be modeling here and what are the numbers they're doing and, things in that nature. So the channel we're modeling is called Mr. Nightmare. It is sort of an OG channel in the scary stories niche, basically one of the oldest and most successful channels from that very niche. For instance, if we go to Social Blade and paste their name, we can see they get around 15 million views per month. Now, the income is estimated to be anywhere from $3K to $60K, but in my humble opinion, their RPM is around $3 to $4, so they're easily pulling in around $35,000 to $40,000 from ad revenue every single month. And if we go over to their actual channel, we can see them posting every 3 days or so, and each of the videos gets anywhere from 500K views to around 1 million views on average, which is absolutely insane given that all of this can be just automated with AI, and then you can either just edit the rest yourself, as I'll show you, or you can simply hire someone to edit for you in order to automate this 100%. Anyway, now that you understand the opportunity a little better, let's get into the actual course. So as I mentioned in the intro, the script, image generation, and voiceovers for these scary stories were completely automated using AI. And you're currently looking at the AI agent system that has the capacity to power channels like Mr. Nightmare. So to build this agent, I used a tool called Make, which is essential for automating faceless YouTube content. So before we start building our scary stories automation workflow, I have never even shown you this tool on my channel before. So in case you don't have an account just yet, you can sign up using my link down below. Once you sign up with the link, you have the free plan available to you. It gives you 1,000 operations monthly. For context, it'll definitely be enough for you to test this tool and create a few trial videos. While the free plan is great for starting out, if you want to actually be able to use it at scale and publishing your videos every 3 days or so like Mr. Nightmare does, you'll need additional capacity. For that, the core plan could work just fine, which starts at around $9 a month. If you really value your time though, you can check out the Pro plan as well, which prioritizes scenarios executions, meaning your automations will just work faster in general. So again, make sure to grab your free trial with my link down below, and let's get into the actual building. So since I have never shown you this video creation approach on my channel ever, I understand how it can be overwhelming to some of you guys. So to make this process easier to follow, let's quickly deploy this agent and just watch it work and produce the files that we need. And once you understand the core concept of how this works, we'll basically reverse engineer our way to building this agent out step by step. So without wasting any more of your time, I'll just click on run once here at the bottom and let's watch this agent perform. So basically the way it works, each of these units here, these little bubbles if you will, performs a particular function. So the very first one is the ChatGPT agent that is configured to write a scary story script. Once the script is done, it then sends it to this router, which goes ahead and turns the script that ChatGPT wrote into an actual Google Doc and then places it in your Google Drive. What happens afterwards is based on that script, it then goes ahead and generates prompts for the images which ChatGPT will need in order to create the actual images for our video. Okay, as you can see, this takes a few moments and it is currently configured to generate 4 images. So as you can see, it is just going to repeat this process over and over again until all the images are generated. Once they're done, they'll be placed in a Dropbox folder that you connected right here. Okay, now stay with me here. Once the upper side of the automation is basically done performing, the router at the start then sends the signal to the bottom side.
What's your credit card debt balance? If it's $10,000 or more, here are 3 easy solutions you can start implementing today. And number 3 is an absolute game changer. Number 1. The first step to tackling
of the automation. What happens here is it takes our script and turns it into a voiceover using Streamlabs APIs. And of course, once it generates the voiceover, it puts it to this Dropbox folder on our behalf. I configured it to be the same folder as the images, so you can then download everything at once. But anyway, if you actually want this automation for yourself without having to build it all out, you can actually click these dots right here and import a blueprint of this template. And to get the blueprint of this automation, you can simply come over to my community. Once you do that, head over to the tools section right here. Basically, by the time this video is out, I'll create this exact post you're seeing right now with the blueprint file attached. So all you gotta do is just go in the community, get the blueprint that way. The link will be down below. And then once you get the automation, again, just a reminder, you can just simply import it into Make. And yeah, you're gonna have a ready to go plug and play automation just like that. But anyway, don't worry. If you actually wanted the step-by-step tutorial, here it is. I just, gave you the option to have this blueprint downloaded. But yeah, with that said, let's actually start building this out from scratch. I'll show you every single step. I'll explain you what I'm doing, how I'm doing, and what I'm doing. So let's get into it. All right, so to begin with, how do I break this down and reverse engineer this automation? To begin with, the first thing you need to do is you need to go here, create a new scenario, click right here on this plus icon, and then add an open AI agent, just like so. Then what you're gonna do is you're gonna scroll down, and as you can see, it offers tons of options and functions. But for this case, for now, we need this create a completion. Then what you're gonna do is, for me, it says my open AI connection. But if your account is new, you're gonna have to connect OpenAI's API. And the way you do that is you literally go and Google OpenAI API. You go over here, and you're basically gonna generate a new key. I can even show you how to do that as well. So in your account, go to dashboard right here, and then in the bottom left you will see API keys. You'll click on that, and then you will just go here in the right, click on create new secret key, name it whatever. I can name it Make, let's say, and then just click on create secret key, and that's your key. Just copy that, and then you'll take it over to Make and just paste that in. Once that's done, that's what you will do afterwards. You will create an agent, select the chat completion. So now for the model, you're gonna go ahead and choose ChatGPT 4o latest system. It's just what I choose now. Here we need to basically choose two roles. We need to add two messages right here. So I already added a message, but for you it's gonna look like this. So go right here and click on this plus icon and basically add message 1, and then you can go ahead and immediately add message 2, because for this to work, we will need to add 2 messages. So let's just go over to our previous automation. It'll be easier to just copy the prompt. But as you can see, prompt number 1, we'll just copy that and head over right here and just paste it right here. Or first, we're gonna select a role, and the role here is system. And basically when you choose this role is, it's self-explanatory, I guess. You just define, you tell ChatGPT what it is really, like what's the system configuration, if you will. And then the second role we're gonna add is actually gonna be the user, and the context we're gonna give here as well is basically the task, like what ChatGPT should actually do. So here, as you can see, we're telling it, you're a professional horror writer specializing in psychological thrillers, and then blah, blah, blah. So like we basically told it what that is and what it's capable of, in a sense, if that makes sense to you guys. And in message 2, we're telling it what to do with the knowledge and the abilities that it was given. So in this case, we're telling it to write a scary story based around the American suburbs. So another thing I did here is actually added the third role, or a third message, and the role I gave it here is the assistant. And basically what assistant does is it gives sort of a context, right? It assists. It gives the context about the whole thing we're doing here. And what I did here to give it some context is I went to the Mr. Nightmare's channel, and I just clicked on the most random video from their channel, and I clicked here on show transcript, and I basically just extracted, like the first paragraph essentially, and I put it in right here. And now it understands the context. It has something to work with. Just like that, we can now click on save, and that part of the automation is basically done. All right, so after you're done building out this first element of the automation, if we go back to take a look, the next thing we need to build out is a router. And you can think of it as something that really just signals to AI what to do, or it rather ensures that AI does certain things in the order that you want it to do the certain things. If it's overwhelming, don't worry, I'm about to show you literally right now how it works. So let's go back and to begin with, add a router. To do that, click right here on the plus sign, so it kind of just extends this ChatGPT agent. And so to get the router, there's a lot of apps here that you could add. As you can see, you can just type in router, or it's also here available here on the right side in the quick access menu. And so right after we added it, as you can see, it says right here first and second. So basically, it's very obvious that the top line is going to be executed first, and only after the automation at the top is finished it will then, the signal basically goes back to the router, and then it starts working on the second line of your automation. But router on its own doesn't really need any configuration. So once you add it, it's kind of done. And let's immediately move on to the next step, which is let's just add our Google Doc at this point. So I'm going to click on the plus icon and type in the search doc. And I'm going to choose the one that says create a document, because essentially we're going to, make the automation create an actual brand new Google Doc file. So the first thing you need to do is I already have my Gmail connected, but if you're a new user, you won't have anything connected. So just click on add, or, just click somewhere to add a Google account and sign in with your account. It's super straightforward. So just do that. And once you're done, right here, select your actual account that you're going to add. So the next thing you need to do, obviously, is just type in the name. The name does not matter. So I'll just put in, test scary script. And the next thing you need to do is you need to add the content. Now it's kind of fancy looking, so I'm not going to go in too much detail explaining why it's like that. So basically what I did here is I just copied, and you can do the same. You can either, copy it straight from the blueprint that I have in my community, or you can just pause the video and type that in exactly. And basically what it does, it basically makes sure that the script is formatted in a certain way. That's it. Because otherwise ChatGPT will just spit out like unformatted text, but that way it's going to look nice and clean, divided in paragraphs. So the next thing you need to do is you need to add a folder. And so the way you do that is very straightforward. Just click right here and add a folder. You obviously have to go in advance to your Google Drive and create the actual folder. So just in case you don't know that, you just go literally to your Google Drive.
We're here in Hollywood at the LA Film School campus. Let me show you our pro spaces where our students work.
On new folder, just name it whatever, and then that's it. You don't need to do anything else because you did connect your account. So just make sure the page is refreshed and whatnot, and then you're gonna see your folder right here. So just click on that, and that's it. Just click on save at this point. And before you click on save and exit this out, you actually want to select to show advanced settings, and make sure that selected as no in both insert a header and insert a footer. With all that said, just click on save, and the create a document part of this automation is now officially done. So the next step here is to add an iterator. So the way you do that is you go right here, click on plus icon, and just type in iterator. You're gonna find it right here, and now you're gonna need an array or a function so you can just go back here and copy this one if you have the blueprint. If not, you can also just pause the video and make sure you have the exact same function typed in. And what it does is it also basically helps to break our script into paragraphs, or that's exactly what it does, is it breaks our script into paragraphs to ensure it's looking nice and organized. It's really all it does. So with that said, just click on save, and the iterator is done. So the next step in our automation is to add the element that will generate the image prompts. And so let's do that, right? So we can go back here and copy the prompt immediately that we used, or in the meantime, I can go back and actually add the OpenAI's agent right here. So we're going to choose this one, create a completion. Afterwards, I'm going to go in and select the model for this one. And the model I'm going to select for this one is called GPT-40125 preview. So just click on that one and have it selected. Now we do need to add a message. So I'll go in here, and the role we're going to choose here is going to be the user, and the text context. To make it easier, I'll just, you can literally just either screenshot and, copy this over to your own automation, or grab the blueprint from my community to make it easier for you. But basically, I'm going to go back here and just paste it like that. Now, there is one more important thing that you need to keep in mind. Basically, these numbers, like each agent is going to have a number assigned to it. The thing is that if you're going to straight up copy, like if you're just watching this video, you're going to type in the same thing, you need to consider the number of the agent that you're connecting to here. And basically, in here, I'm trying to connect the iterator. So what I can do is I can just go in here and click on value, and it's going to add the right bracket into the function. Does that make sense? I hope it does. And once you configure it just like that, you can then scroll down. You can turn on the advanced settings here at the bottom, and you can just make sure that the temperature is set at 1, top P is set at 1, and number is set at 1, and everything else is disabled. And yeah, if that's the case, then click on save, and this part of the automation is also done. So we're almost done building out the top line of this automation. And so the two remaining things that we need to basically build out in our automation is the image generating element and a place for our images to be stored. So let's start by adding the image generating GPT, which is DALL-E. So to add that, just in search, type in image. You're going to see this one that says generate an image. So click on that. Then for the model here, you can choose DALL-E 3 since it's the more advanced one that OpenAI offers. And then as far as the prompt, I'm just going to go back and copy our prompt that we used here. Now this one is basically connected to the previous one because as you can see in the prompt, we're adding the value 35 result, and this one is basically number 35. So we're we're gonna do the same thing here. We're gonna paste our prompt. We will delete this function right here. And yeah, to state the obvious, similarly to the previous automation, it's gonna now be taken into consideration the results of, number 6, which is this, number 6. So I hope this by far makes sense to you guys. Now, we do need to configure some advanced settings for this one. So the first thing we need to do is we need to configure the resolution. Now, it's a bit tricky, and usually it's the other way around where you work with images, but basically to have it generated vertically, you actually need to select this one at the bottom. And if you want a horizontal image, you need to select this one. Usually it's the other way around, so that's why I'm really emphasizing it like that. But yeah, that's what you need to select in order to get those horizontal images. Now the quality, obviously keep it at HD, unless you want to have a low quality image, you choose standard. Otherwise, keep it HD, keep it at vivid image file. Those settings are alright. Just make sure you change that from basically 1024 to 1024 to this one over here. It's just super crucial. With all that said, click on save. So basically what we need to do now to finish out the top, layer of this automation is we need to add the Dropbox file, aka the place where all the images are going to go to. So basically type in drop and select here, upload a file. And similarly to Google Drive, you're going to have to connect your account. Do that. Once you do that, you need to select your folder. Now I recommend you to actually go into your Dropbox and create an actual folder for this experiment, just to have everything organized in one place. So I did exactly that. So I'm going to click here and add a scary story folder. Now make sure this one is selected, which is OpenAI ChatGPT Whisper, like not the map, and click on save. That's it. The top layer is officially done. So now let's start building out our voiceover. And so right here, what we need to do is we need to click on the plus icon and we need to search up 11 Labs. And once you search it up, you need to select right here, create a speech synthesis. Now for that, you're gonna need an 11 Labs account. As you can see, I already have mine connected. Now to connect one, basically you need to go to 11 Labs. If you don't have an account with 11 Labs as well, I'm gonna link it down below. It is a paid tool, I believe, so to actually use its APIs, you're gonna have to pay for it regardless, so you might as well use my link down below. Once you do all of that, sign up for your account, blah blah blah, you're gonna go to 11 Labs, and in the bottom left corner you're gonna click on your profile, and then you're gonna go here to API keys. So then you just click on create API key, you name it whatever, let's say make voice, and click on create. Then go ahead and copy this key, and then once you add your 11 Labs to make, simply paste this API key right here, click on save. I'm not going to click it because I already have mine connected, but then that's it. Once you click save, it's going to look exactly like it's looking on my screen right now. Then for voice, you're going to select a voice. Now here you can't really hear the voice you're selecting, so I'm going to choose a random one for this example. And so just then spend some time here scrolling through those voiceovers, actually listen through them, choose the one you like. Let's just say,
when I started Walton Goggins Goggle Glasses, I needed a website. Figuring out how to make one was pretty hard.
randomly, for example, I like this David voice. So I'm going to go back here in the voice and just type in David, and I'm going to choose this one. And then for the voice model, I recommend you to use 11 English V2. It's the same exact model that I use for my AI guy voiceover. In the videos where I have AI voice, that's the model I always use. So it's the best one in my opinion. Now, as for the text, we actually, we're not giving it any text, but what we're going to do is similarly to like the top line in this automation, we're going to implement the same concept. In this case, we're basically deploying the results of the automations or, the sequences that happened before. So in this case, we're deploying the results of the agent number 1. Basically, the very beginning where we made the script, the very script that was made is going to be deployed to 11 Labs. Now, let me just click on result. So to do that, to do everything I've been saying so far, click right here on result and make sure it's 1, right? Now for the stability, you can play around. So for example, you can put in number values. As you can see on the right side here, it gives you these values and that's what you can work with. So for example, you want stability to be at 95%. So you go in here and you put it at 95. All right, you get the point. I'm just going to keep it at default, and I recommend you to actually keep things at default as well. Just give it a generation, see how it turns out, and then based on that, you start tweaking your settings. Otherwise, there are no fancy settings needed for this one, really. So just click on save, and that part is done. Basically, now all we need to do is we need to connect the Dropbox. We needed to upload a file to our Dropbox. So let's do exactly that. I'm going to choose the same exact folder where our images are going to go to. So basically, once the automation is executed, everything is going to end up in the very same folder. So you can just grab everything at once and, do whatever you want with it. And yeah, click on save. Our automation is done. Let's just make sure it works, it runs. So click on run once. All right, so now we can see this agent actually is doing the work. It's currently generating an image. It's going to be quite a time consuming process. Really, it's going to take probably like 2-3 minutes. bit. So I'll be right back once all of that is done. So as we can see, this thing is now done running. Everything is green, which means everything worked well without any mistake. Let's ensure that everything truly worked. So if we go to the Google Drive, first of all, that's the folder which I told it to place the script in. And as you can see, here's our script looking like that. And if we go back out to our Dropbox, these are the images that we managed to generate looking like that. And obviously here's the 11 Labs voiceover. Let's give it a quick listen.
The streetlights flickered in the distance, casting long, skeletal shadows across the street.
So everything is now ready for us to go ahead and put it all together in CapCut. So basically, before we even go into CapCut and start editing, let's figure out what's the game here. How do they edit their videos to begin with? So as we can see, they just have B-roll static, and there's always movements either on the screen or like the shots is sometimes a little bit shaky. I know for a fact that it's how it is in some of their videos. So as you can see, there's some kind of a motion happening all the time. There's like very light transitions that are fading into each other, right? So that's kind of the vibe here. Very minimalistic editing, you know, little to no editing truly. And yeah, that's just how they do it. So to get started, let's go to CapCut. I'm gonna go ahead, exit out and create a new project file. And to begin with, you obviously need to go ahead to your Dropbox, select all the elements that we created for this video, and then go ahead and download them just like so. Once everything is downloaded, just go ahead and import it into CapCut. Now you could place it on the timeline, so I'll just do that. And yeah, begin by placing your images on the timeline. Now, if you are making longer videos, which you should make more than 4 images. I just made 4 for demonstrational purposes. So basically, first of all, I'm going to cut off this unnecessary voiceover since it is like a demo video. But again, you want to be making longer videos for this purpose. You know, their videos on average are what, like 20 minutes, 30 minutes or so. Yeah, that's kind of the meta currently on YouTube, just making these 20 to 30 minute videos at the very least. But yeah, I don't need that much for demonstration. So yeah, basically at this point, I want to add 2 effects. And I personally kind of learned these effects after all the edits I've done. And I truly believe that those 2 effects are gonna do amazing here. All right, so the first one is called Pendulum. Just search up Pendulum and throw it on the timeline just like so and extend it. All right, so as you can see, it adds this shakiness motion, right? So let's actually play it and see how it looks. But by default settings, it looks bad, like it looks awful. It makes me almost feel sick just looking at the screen. So of course we need to fix that. So select the effect, and now on the right side, just start decreasing all these values like tremendously. Have them barely present at all. So around 10, maybe just below 10, and just see how it looks. I can't remember off the top of my head what's the good setting. It seems like it's the good. Maybe just make it slightly faster. It's really up to your preference, of course. There's no right or wrong here. It's all art, if you will. But that's kind of the vibe. That's kind of the setting. So once you get that done, once you get that dialed, the next effect when you're going to need is called noise. Now there's a bunch of them. So I think noise 2 is the better one. So we can just go ahead and drop it right here, just like so. So we can also, with that said, try different noise effects just to see which one is going to look best. I think black noise is actually looking better here because this noise 2 is kind of low-key a bit overwhelming, at least in my opinion. Those white little dots are just not matching the vibe here. Since it is a scary story, we want it to be like darker, you know, so the black noise I think here is going to be just perfect. Now for the next step, how can we enhance it even?
Coinbase continues to be the safest, most secure place to hold and trade your cryptocurrency.
more. So, you know, in the video we were watching just now together, they had those smooth transitions between the shots. And so I might as well show you guys how to do that. So you go to transitions and you type in mix and you drag, you know, the mix transition between the shots. So it's a very clean, sort of minimalistic looking transition. We can take a look at it together. So you can see the shots are sort of fading into each other. Another cool one, very also like minimalistic looking transition, is called black fade. So we can drop it here. Also, if you want to just apply a single transition to the whole video at once without having to actually drag them individually, just go ahead and select one of the transitions and then simply click on apply to all here on the right. Yeah, that same transition is going to be applied everywhere. Now, as for last touch, little element finesse in this whole thing, we can add color adjustment. And one of my favorite effects, it's called vignette. It's truly awesome. So if I crank it up all the way, you can see it adds those dark edges, and I truly love this feature. So I think we can just, you know, increase it to around 20 to add those dark edges, you know, scary vibe and whatnot, and maybe decrease the brightness, or it's called here exposure, just slightly, like -8. And now it's really like dark looking, mysterious. Maybe increase saturation just slightly, just to bring up the colors. Maybe also play around with contrast, but that's really, you know, that's not that significant. It's not that important. But yeah, that's kind of how you assemble these videos. It's basically done. You could add music if you want to use some royalty-free music. That's what I personally use in my